Discipline over emotion means choosing what must be done even when every feeling in your body is screaming for comfort. It is the act of deciding that your goals are worth more than your moods. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for the right moment to feel ready, but the truth is, readiness is an illusion. No one wakes up consistently motivated. Even the strongest people wake up tired, doubtful, and distracted. What separates them is not emotion, but execution. They understand that emotions are temporary, but the results of action are permanent. When you live by feelings, your life becomes unpredictable. When you live by discipline, your progress becomes inevitable. There comes a moment in every person's journey where feelings will try to take control. You might feel unmotivated to work out, uninspired to pursue your goals, or too tired to stay consistent with your habits. That's the moment when discipline becomes the deciding factor. Discipline says, do it anyway. Discipline says, move even when you don't feel like it. It is not about denying emotions, it's about mastering them. The person who learns to act in spite of emotion gains an advantage that most people will never experience. When you let emotions lead, your progress rises and falls like the weather. Some days you'll do great things, and other days you'll do nothing at all. Discipline removes that instability. It creates a foundation that can't be shaken by mood swings or emotional lows. It allows you to keep moving when excitement fades, when passion weakens, and when motivation disappears. Discipline doesn't rely on how you feel, it relies on who you've decided to be. Once you decide that your actions are no longer negotiable, your emotions lose their power to stop you. The truth is, emotions are meant to serve you, not rule you. Feelings are signals, not instructions. You can acknowledge fear, frustration, or doubt without surrendering to them. Discipline allows you to separate what you feel from what you must do. It gives you the ability to respond to life instead of reacting to it. When your emotions shout, stop, discipline whispers, keep going. That whisper becomes stronger every time you choose consistency over comfort. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has battled their own emotions. Fear, insecurity, laziness, and hesitation have tried to hold them back just as they try to hold you back. The difference is that disciplined people understand the cost of surrendering to emotion. They know that giving in for a moment of relief can destroy years of progress. They choose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret because they've learned that temporary discomfort is far easier to endure than a lifetime of wondering what could have been. Discipline is the structure that protects your vision. It acts as a barrier between your goals and your excuses. When you build your life on discipline, you don't need to rely on inspiration to move forward. You operate on principle, not preference. You no longer chase the feeling of motivation, you create momentum through commitment. It's not about waiting to feel powerful. It's about acting powerfully until your feelings catch up. That is how leaders, champions, and visionaries live. Your emotions will always try to convince you that you deserve a break, that you can do it tomorrow, that you've already done enough. But discipline reminds you that tomorrow is built on what you do today. Discipline teaches you to act before you feel ready, to commit before you see the results, to push forward even when no one is watching. Every time you choose discipline, you're training your mind to obey purpose over pleasure. That repetition creates strength, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Over time, discipline transforms your relationship with emotion. You stop seeing resistance as a sign to quit and start seeing it as proof that you're growing. You learn that the hardest days often produce the greatest breakthroughs. You begin to trust the process, not the feeling. Your emotions become background noise while your discipline drives the direction of your life. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but every small act of consistency builds the foundation for that transformation. Discipline also brings freedom, not restriction. When you're ruled by emotion, you're constantly at the mercy of your moods. When you're ruled by discipline, you control your time, your habits, and your destiny. You no longer waste energy debating with yourself about what needs to be done. The decision is already made. That clarity removes confusion, reduces stress, and increases confidence. You live each day knowing you're moving towards something that matters. To live with discipline over emotion is to live with power. It is to wake up each day knowing that no feeling can override your purpose. It is to move through life with stability when others are swayed by impulse. It is to choose progress over comfort, growth over ease, and purpose over pleasure. The moment you begin to act from discipline instead of emotion, you step into a level of strength that most people never experience, and from that moment forward, your life begins to rise to a higher standard. Consistency builds identity because what you do repeatedly becomes who you are. Every action, every small decision, every daily habit is a brick laid in the foundation of your identity. You don't become disciplined by saying you are, you become disciplined by doing disciplined things. You don't become confident by wishing for confidence. You become confident by following through on your commitments over and over again. Consistency is not glamorous and it's rarely exciting, but it is the quiet force that shapes your destiny. Each day you show up, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. When you start something new, it's easy to be excited in the beginning. That burst of energy pushes you forward, but excitement fades. When it does, consistency becomes the bridge between your intentions and your results. It's what keeps you moving when enthusiasm runs out. It's what transforms effort into excellence. The person who stays consistent outlasts the one who's just motivated. Motivation gets you started, but consistency keeps you going. Every small step forward reinforces the identity of someone who doesn't quit, someone who follows through, someone who finishes what they start. Your mind pays attention to what you do more than what you say. Each time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your own belief in your words. But every time you keep your word, even in small things, you strengthen that belief. You start to trust yourself. You begin to realize that when you say you'll do something, you mean it. That trust is powerful because it builds internal certainty. People who trust themselves don't need to wait for external validation. Their consistency has already proven who they are. Consistency is also the foundation of mastery. No one becomes excellent overnight. Skill is built through repetition, not revelation. The more you repeat something, the deeper it becomes ingrained in your nature. At first, consistency feels like discipline, but eventually it becomes identity. You no longer have to force yourself to show up. You show up because that's who you are. You've practiced the habit so often that it has become automatic. This is how athletes, leaders, and achievers reach their level of excellence. They've trained consistency until it became their nature. Every consistent act, no matter how small, contributes to a bigger picture. When you choose to stay committed to your goals, you're teaching your subconscious mind that progress is your default state. You no longer need to think about whether to act, you just act. The repetition rewires your thinking and removes hesitation. It turns effort into instinct. Over time, what once required immense willpower becomes effortless. That's the true reward of consistency. the transformation of hard work into habit. There's a moment in every journey when progress feels invisible. You'll be doing the right things, but nothing seems to change. That's the point where most people give up, believing their effort isn't working. But consistency is like planting seeds. The growth is hidden before it becomes visible. You water the soil, nurture it, and keep showing up even when there's no sign of life. Then one day, results burst through the surface, and what seemed impossible becomes undeniable. That's what consistency does. It compounds quietly until the world can't ignore it anymore. When you build consistency, you're also building resilience. You start to realize that you don't need to feel your best to perform your best. You've practiced showing up tired, showing up unmotivated, showing up uncertain. And because you've shown up anyway, you've trained yourself to perform under any condition. That's what gives consistent people an unshakable edge. They don't depend on circumstances, they depend on commitment. Their identity is not built on convenience, it's built on conviction. Consistency is a daily declaration of who you are becoming. Every morning you wake up and choose to stay aligned with your goals, you reinforce that identity. You're not trying to become something new. You're simply uncovering what's already inside you through daily action. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Missing a day doesn't destroy your identity. Quitting does. The person who gets back up after failure is still building consistency, still shaping their character, still defining who they are through choice. The beauty of consistency is that it doesn't demand brilliance, it demands faithfulness. It doesn't ask you to do everything right, it asks you to keep doing what matters. You don't need to move mountains every day, you just need to move one stone. Over time, those small movements shift everything. The most powerful transformations are rarely dramatic. They are the result of quiet, unseen, relentless consistency that builds strength, skill, and self-respect. Every great identity begins as a series of small, consistent choices. Who you are today is a reflection of what you've done consistently, not what you've done occasionally. The person who wants to change their life must first change what they do daily. Because once consistency becomes part of your character, success becomes a natural consequence. It stops being something you chase and starts being something you attract through who you've become. Discomfort creates growth because nothing strong is ever formed in ease. Every level of greatness requires a season of stretching, a season where you are uncomfortable, uncertain, and sometimes even afraid. Growth begins the moment comfort ends. The people who live average lives are the ones who avoid discomfort at all costs, but those who rise above average are the ones who step into it willingly. They understand that discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the evidence that transformation is happening. When life starts to feel uncomfortable, it's often a sign that you're breaking through old limits and entering a new version of yourself. The truth is, comfort never produces character. It only maintains what already exists. When everything is easy, nothing changes. The very challenges you resist are the ones designed to build the strength you've been praying for. Growth doesn't happen in the moments that feel good. It happens in the moments that test your patience, your faith, and your persistence. Every obstacle is an invitation to develop the qualities you'll need for the next level. Discomfort forces you to grow in areas where comfort keeps you weak. Most people want success, but run from the process that creates it. They want strength without struggle, wisdom without mistakes, and confidence without risk. But life doesn't work that way. The process of growth is uncomfortable, because it exposes the parts of you that must evolve. It challenges the laziness, the fear, the hesitation that holds you back. It strips away your excuses and forces you to rely on discipline instead of emotion. The discomfort you feel is simply your potential being stretched to match your purpose. Every successful person you admire has a history of discomfort. Behind every victory are hours of pain, failure, and uncertainty. But those moments became their greatest teachers. Discomfort teaches humility, perseverance, and adaptability, lessons comfort will never offer. It shapes you from the inside out, teaching you to find peace in pressure and strength in struggle. When you stop avoiding discomfort, you stop avoiding growth. You begin to see pain not as punishment, but as preparation for something greater. There's a certain kind of power that comes from enduring discomfort. Each time you push through it, you build inner resilience. You prove to yourself that you can survive what once scared you. That confidence doesn't come from success. It comes from surviving the process that success requires. When you embrace discomfort, you realize that pressure doesn't break you. It reveals you. It shows you what you're truly capable of when excuses are removed and effort is all that remains. Growth requires friction. Just as muscles grow through resistance, your character grows through challenge. Every time you face discomfort and choose persistence over retreat, you're strengthening your internal foundation. The same resistance that feels unbearable today becomes effortless tomorrow because you've grown stronger in the process. You stop dreading hard things because you understand they're the very things sculpting your destiny. What once intimidated you now empowers you because you've learned how to turn pain into progress. Discomfort also refines focus. When you're comfortable, your mind wanders. But when you're in a challenging place, you're forced to focus on what truly matters. It removes distractions and exposes priorities. It teaches you to manage emotions, make decisions under pressure, and stay clear on your purpose. Those who learn to stay centered in discomfort develop an advantage. They no longer crumble under pressure because pressure has become familiar territory. They've trained themselves to perform in the places others avoid. The process of embracing discomfort also deepens gratitude. When you've gone through difficult seasons, you learn to appreciate ease without depending on it. You begin to value progress because you understand the price that was paid for it. Discomfort makes success meaningful. Without the struggle, victory feels empty. The challenge gives context to the celebration. You stop comparing yourself to others because you've learned to respect your own journey. The pain, the lessons, and the growth that shaped you along the way. Discomfort reveals truth. It exposes weaknesses, hidden fears, and areas of complacency that need attention. When life gets hard, you see yourself clearly. What you believe, how you react, and where your faith truly stands. That awareness is uncomfortable but necessary because it gives you the power to change. Growth begins with self-awareness, and self-awareness often comes through struggle. The discomfort is not there to destroy you. It's there to develop you into someone capable of carrying the blessings you're asking for. The more you embrace discomfort, the less control it has over you. You stop fearing failure because you've already learned how to rise after falling. You stop fearing rejection because you understand it doesn't define your value. You stop fearing the unknown because you've realized that every uncomfortable step forward expands your capacity. Growth is the reward for choosing discomfort over ease, courage over comfort, and progress over safety. Each uncomfortable moment is a seed planted in the soil of your potential, preparing you for the harvest of the person you're destined to become. Decide, don't wait. Because waiting is the silent killer of dreams. Most people waste their potential not because they lack ability, but because they delay the moment of decision. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow when things feel right, when they have more time, when life becomes easier. But that day never comes. The perfect moment doesn't exist, and those who wait for it end up living the same year over and over again. The decision to change, to take action, to commit, that's where transformation begins. Progress doesn't start with opportunity, it starts with a decision. Every major shift in your life will always begin with one firm decision. Not a wish, not a thought, not an intention, but a decision that says, I will. When you decide, you cut off every other possibility. The word decide literally means to cut away. You remove the option to quit, the option to delay, the option to go back. That's the moment when your future starts to take shape. As long as you keep waiting for the right conditions, you'll stay stuck in the same patterns. But once you decide, everything begins to move. Decisions create momentum, and momentum creates results. Indecision is the breeding ground of failure. It steals your energy, confuses your mind, and paralyzes your potential. When you hesitate, your brain fills the space with doubt. The longer you wait, the stronger your fear becomes. The moment you decide, you silence that voice. You give your mind direction, and direction creates confidence. Life doesn't reward people who hesitate, it rewards those who act. You can't think your way into success. You must decide your way into it. Every great achievement in history came from someone who decided to move forward long before they felt ready. The truth is, most people don't lack clarity, they lack commitment. They already know what needs to be done, but they're waiting for the feeling to match the action. The secret is that the feeling comes after the decision, not before it. You don't feel courageous and then act. You act and courage follows. You don't feel confident and then start. You start and confidence grows. Waiting for the right emotion is the reason most people never experience growth. Once you decide, your emotions begin to align with your actions instead of controlling them. Decisions also define identity. Every time you make a firm decision, you reinforce who you are becoming. You're telling yourself, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm committed to. Weak decisions produce weak identities because they leave room for compromise. Strong decisions shape strong character because they demand consistency. Each time you decide and follow through, you strengthen your integrity. That integrity becomes the foundation for everything else. You begin to trust yourself on a deeper level, and that trust becomes the fuel that drives consistent action. Deciding doesn't mean you have all the answers. It means you're willing to move even when you don't. Most people want to see the entire staircase before taking the first step, but success only reveals itself one step at a time. Decision is the first step, and clarity is the reward that follows. When you decide, doors open that hesitation keeps closed. You attract opportunities, resources, and people that were invisible when you were uncertain. The moment you commit, the universe starts to cooperate with your courage. Waiting feels safe, but it's the most dangerous thing you can do. It creates the illusion of control while time silently slips away. Every day you wait to decide, your dream drifts further out of reach. Time doesn't wait for hesitation, it rewards movement. You have to realize that deciding is not about knowing it all. It's about trusting that you'll figure it out on the way. The person who decides and moves will always outperform the person who waits for perfect understanding. Progress belongs to the decisive, not the hesitant. A decision carries power. because it aligns your focus. When you finally decide, distractions lose their pull. You stop chasing everything and start mastering something. Decision gives birth to direction, and direction produces discipline. Without decision, your energy